but the steel pipe never struck home. Just when it was about to smash into Achi's head, Suzumu grabbed hold of it. The hell you doing? Enough of this crap, Kiryu. Suzumu yanked the pipe from Kiryu's grasp and tossed it onto the floor. Kiryu stood frozen in surprise. A vein pulsed angrily in his forehead. You guys too, Suzumu added, glaring at the others. Let him go. The toughs holding Achi down cautiously took their hands away. Kiryu let out a red-faced cry of rage. But we got unfinished business! Ignoring him, Suzumu helped Achi slide off the table. Every man gets to make one request in his life that cannot be denied. Do you remember saying that? The words stirred up some bitter memories within Achi. Yeah, I remember. But you didn't grant me my request. No, I guess not. That's why I'm going to heed yours. No question asked. Suzumu held out his right hand. Oh, he's a good guy once he doesn't look crazy anymore. Suzumu, you are... That'll make me the better man. Finally. Achi reached out and clasped Suzumu's hand in his. Yeah, Achi said, letting his relief show in his face. You're quite a guy. Aw, that's some bro love. The game is full of it. Suzumu cracked a tiny grin. It was the sort of smile Achi had seen all the time back when he'd run with SOS. Yep, suddenly Suzumu staggered and dropped to the floor, falling too fast even to cry out. Kiryu had snatched the steel pipe back from the floor, striking Suzumu from behind once his back was turned. To hell with this, he howled like a madman. SOS doesn't belong to you guys, not anymore. I won't allow it. Achi didn't flinch. SOS doesn't belong to anyone, he said. It's not mine, it's not Suzumu's, and it isn't yours. We're just a bunch of friends hanging out and having a good time. That's the only reason we get together. Nothing more, nothing less. He turned and looked slowly around the room. Hey, you guys! Do you all get together because someone told you to assemble? Do you get together to follow someone's orders? No, you don't. Of course you don't. Oh, Achi, your fucking voice! It's killing me! The bar fell silent. Achi could see the young men who surrounded him exchanging glances. They could tell that his words rang true. Kiryu saw it too, and it only made him more and more agitated. Help up, Suzumu, why don't you? Shut up! Enough with the warm fuzzies! Abruptly he charged forward, giving the steel pipe a mighty swing. Achi managed to dodge the attack by a mere hair. If it had connected, the blow might well have knocked his head clean off. He quickly backed away. What's the matter? Kiryu taunted. How come all you do is run? The pipe crashed down onto the bar top. Bottles of beer and liquor smashed and scattered. Come on, what's the matter, Achi? Kiryu slammed his weapon into the pool table, sending balls scattering across the floor. Some of them collided with Suzumu. Someone help him! Ugh. Suzumu let out a faint groan. Smirking at the sound, Kiryu stalked towards him. Speaking of unfinished business! With a gleaming grin, Kiryu took aim at Suzumu's head, lifting the pipe up high. Stop! Before he could think better of it, Achi was rushing for his fallen friend. Just tackle him! Heh, you dumbass! Without missing a beat, Kiryu shifted his weight and swung the steel pipe at Achi's temple. Whoa! Sorry, that was kinda loud. Achi responded with a fast high kick with his right leg. The steel pipe connected hard with his shin, but it was Kiryu who went reeling off balance. That must hurt though, fucking hell. Kah! Achi pivoted and put all his might into a straight right to Kiryu's jaw. The blow struck home, Kiryu's head snapped back, and he crumpled to the floor. There was a momentary hush of indrawn breath. Then the bar erupted in a wild clamor that practically shook the whole building. All eyes were fixed on Achi, marveling at what they had just seen go down. He is a martial arts master after all. I mean, kinda. Heh. Sounds like folks were hoping for a little more of a fight. Suzumu got to his feet, his left hand clutching his right shoulder. At least he didn't get hit in the head. You're right, Achi asked. Mostly. Guess my shoulder took the brunt of the blow. The gang members from Kiryu's faction rushed to their unconscious leader's side. Come on. Throw them out. Achi shot them a steely glare and they gathered up Kiryu and dragged him out of the bar. I didn't go too far here, did I? Achi asked Suzumu. Is this gonna cause trouble for you? No. I figured Kiryu would pull something like this eventually. It was just a question of when. Right. I'm sure he's going to get up his own bunch after this. We'll probably wind up butting heads again. Oh, it's Susumu. Susumu didn't sound especially eager for that fight, but he didn't sound especially afraid of it either. Hachi was still worried about a few things, but his friend had clearly grown as a leader. Yeah, these are the cool guys. Anyhow, back to that story about you needing some manpower. Will the guys here be enough? There were around 30 gang members still in the bar. Hachi looked each of them in the eye in turn. Some he knew from back in the day, while others were fresh faces. They look hard, man, at least some of them. I was born and raised in this town. I'm fond of the friends I've met here, and this has always been a great place to have a good time. And today, right here in this town, I met someone who's very special to me. And I know this doesn't involve the rest of you, but I'm willing to protect her. Hachi knew he wasn't doing a great job of getting to the point, but the members of SOS listened quietly. And so, it's like, he felt like a great schooler who didn't know the answer to a difficult question. He fussed with his hair and frowned sheepishly. Okay, so I'm not sure how to really put this, but Shibuya is a special town to me because of getting to meet people like that. And maybe... No, I mean, it's like that for you guys too. Don't you love Shibuya? So help me with this town. Help me help this town, rather. He bowed low and deep. I want to protect this girl who means so much to me. And a city that means so much to me as well. I know my answer. Susumu clapped a hand on Hachi's shoulder. Oh, finally. Listen up, everyone. SOS original founder is back in action. He needs our help. And I, for one, am ready to follow him into battle. What do you say? Yay! Yay! Susumu's people let out a hearty cheer. Yay! Amazing! We love you! Susumu, Hachi! Yay! When Hachi marched back into his home followed by 30 members of his old gang, Hitomi and Kano were obviously overjoyed to see him. Their happiness raised his own spirits unexpectedly high. He felt a palpable sense of accomplishment. Alright, detective, Hachi shouted. Let's do this! His resounding cry echoed throughout the workroom and the gang set out for the scramble. It must be quite a sight to see 30 young delinquents just walk down the street. What's the matter? Hitomi asked Hachi as they made their way through the busy streets. What's the matter with what? You look pretty pale. She peered good and hard into his face. Do I now? Are you tired of something? I mean, you've kind of been going all out all day long after all. Oh god, yeah, he looks really fucked up. Nah, it's nothing. Hachi kept his voice nice and bright. I'm just a little hungry is all. So don't worry about me, or ALPHARD either, okay? I swear I'll keep you safe here to me. Alright, Hitomi gave a tiny nod. Just leave it to me. ALPHARD's got nothing on this guy. Ah, he's sweating so much. He thumped his chest in a display of bravado, but he could feel the sweat beading on his brow. It's all or nothing now. All or nothing. When they reached the scramble, Hachi took his place at the location specified by the battle plan Kano had drawn up. Hitomi was only a few meters away. Whatever happened, he was in a good position to shield her from harm. You gotta think that ALPHARD knows who has been around her all day, right? So he should recognize Hachi, especially since he knows about Daisuke's shop as well. There were 3 minutes left until the appointed rendezvous, and she wondered what sort of person was going to show up. Still, he knew he couldn't scan the crowd too much. He needed to act as naturally as possible so ALPHARD wouldn't be suspicious. He risked a glance over at Hitomi. Maybe now wasn't the time for admiring, but he couldn't help but think how cute she looked. Hachi has the same sickness as I do. The waifu syndrome? I don't know. In some ways, seeing her there felt similar to when he'd first seen her that morning in the very same spot. The difference was that, this time, it wasn't just Hitomi's good looks that made him find her so attractive. They might have only spent a few hours together, but in that time, he'd learned a lot about her as a person. He knew what was important to her, what her worries were, her wants and desires. Nah, maybe not so much about that one. And also, he'd learned what a kind-hearted person she was. Hachi recalled what had happened back in the workroom. Even though her own life had been in danger all day, Hitomi had shed tears for his father and his sister. She really understood people's grief and suffering. Yeah, maybe it's because of her father, because he doesn't know any emotion at all, and now his daughters are even more emotional? I don't know. What do I do if I can't protect someone as good as her? Hachi muttered under his breath, clutching his right leg. His shin was throbbing wickedly where the pipe had smashed against it. He'd been okay walking so far, but any intense fighting and the leg might just give out. But he couldn't let himself worry about that now. If it came down to it, he'd be a human shield to protect Hitomi if he had to. Good job, Hachi. You do that. Hachi looked at his watch. Only 1 minute to go before 7 PM. I guess the game is gonna stop now. He glanced again at Hitomi and saw her eyes widen with surprise. Quickly, he followed her gaze across the plaza. He spotted a tall white man approaching. Of course they're pulling that bullshit on us. Fuck off. So I guess we gotta do Kano now. Gotta jump to Kano to clear his keep out. And afterwards maybe we can do Stanley. And I bet, okay, this is my final bet. Stanley is Alphard. Done. No one else I could accuse other than Stanley, I believe. Maybe we won't even get to see Alphard. Maybe I'm on the wrong path for that. Maybe I already fucked up if there's several endings to this game. We can't wait any longer. Seeing the look of determination on Kano's face, she gave a tiny reluctant nod. Her shoulders began to tremble. Hitomi. I'll be alright. I'm just a little nervous, that's all. She had a right to be nervous. Alphard was after the antiviral that she had in her bloodstream. Stream, I guess, not steam. Once he had it, Hitomi would become a liability that he'd want to dispose of. And right now, the only person who could keep her safe was Kano. He clenched his jaw tight and tried to look confident. Please, just try to relax. I'll protect you with my life if I have to. That's where they come in. Protecting Hitomi is my job. Hachi, you're back! I said I'd see you through to the very end, didn't I? Yeah, you did. Hitomi gazed back at Hachi with grateful reassurance. Ahem. Kano cleared his throat softly, but Hachi and Hitomi continued to stare earnestly at one another. Eventually, the tough-looking young man standing behind Hachi spoke up. We've got 30. Will that be enough? Yeah, Kano nodded. That'll be fine. More importantly, have you heard what we'll be doing yet? Catch the bad guy, keep Shibuya safe. Same old thing we always do. The guy flashed a grin. I like that guy. You got it, Kano said. We'll be counting on you then. With 30 odd people at their disposal, they'd be able to encircle the meeting area no problem. The preparations were all set. It was time to confront Alphard at last. Alright, detective, Hachi shouted. Let's do this. Kano gave a firm nod. God, I love the main theme. It's amazing. We don't get to hear it enough. It's so good. 9 minutes later, 6:59 PM, Kano and the others were in position around the scramble. Each subtle tick of the second hand was like a sharp prod to Kano's nerves. His whole body was stiff with tension. They could not let themselves fail. There was too much at stake. Here, now, hundreds of thousands of lives were on the line. With Shibuya on lockdown, the area around the scramble had been seized by panic, and there had been multiple traffic collisions. The sidewalks were crowded with scared people. Overturned cars and abandoned motorcycles clogged the streets. Amidst the chaos, emergency vehicles sped by at furious speeds. But the fire and emergency personnel, and even the police, were short-handed, and the whole of Shibuya had begun to look like a war zone. The main roads had been blocked to normal traffic, and trains weren't stopping at stations. In effect, the city was in a state of complete shutdown. That must be a crazy thing to witness. Kano glanced again at his wristwatch. 6:59 PM and 10 seconds. 11 seconds, 12 seconds, 13 seconds, 14 seconds. I think you get it. He scarcely remembered to breathe. Hitomi stood in front of the statue of Hachiko. She was carrying an attached case this time, but the moment was otherwise a strange mirror of the stakeout at 10 o'clock that morning. She looked terrified. Kano couldn't blame her. The criminals weren't after some case full of money this time. This time, they were out for blood. Her blood. Damn, it's so full of people. Kano did a slow scan of the area. Archie was standing not too far away. His companions were strewn about here and there, carrying on as normal. Here in Shibuya, those guys fit right in with the crowd, and they had the area around Hitomi completely surrounded. Yet again, Kano looked at his watch. 6:59 PM, 35 seconds. 36, 37, 38, 39 seconds. He forced himself to take several deep breaths. He focused on the sound of his own heartbeat and exhaled until all the breath was expelled from his lungs. And then it all started. Kano's cell phone rang. I've got him. It was Daisuke, the organ trafficker who devised the kidnapping. It's him. Where is he? Kano asked. Is he close by? I've got him on camera now. He's on the other side of the intersection. Kano looked out across the scramble. There were so many people that it was hard to tell who was or wasn't suspicious. Can you describe him for me? The tall foreign guy. The one wearing glasses. A tall foreigner? Kano's eyes drifted over the crowd. It's the professor! Isn't it? Uh-huh. There he was. And as he got closer, Kano's eyes went wide. Okay, I gotta retract my earlier statement about Stanley. I actually called it in the very first episode that I think it's the professor, so I'm still right. This man was someone he'd met before. Leland Palmer, the lecturer from the English department at Hitomi and Maria's school. Is he Alphard? Palmer was walking right towards Hitomi. Hitomi didn't seem to have noticed him yet. When Kano glanced back at his wristwatch, it was 7 PM on the dot. I called it, didn't I? Please. When Hitomi realized Palmer was approaching her, oh god, she looks fucking shocked. She was too stunned to react. He walked directly up to her, the corners of his mouth curling up into a smile. Hello, Hitomi, he said in English. How are you doing? Professor Palmer? What are you doing here? Hitomi's voice came out in an anxious squeak. Why? I'm here to take your blood, of course. This time he spoke Japanese, and with an easy fluency totally different from his usual manner of speech. I'm the one who injected you with the UR virus. I've been waiting so long for the opportunity to arise. It's been quite agonizing, you know, spending 6 months and more pretending to be a mild-mannered English lecturer. Professor, you're ALPHARD, aren't you? Let's get down to business, shall we? Neither of us has much time. Hitomi stiffened. Please tell me the laboratory password. After I have your blood. This will only take a few seconds. I've got a device here that will make the extraction quite simple. No way! The password first. That would violate the terms we already negotiated. Hitomi and Palmer glared at one another. Alright, Hitomi said at last. Why don't you negotiate with Kanan instead? Kanan? Hitomi took her cell phone out and dialed. Oh yeah, of course, that was the plan, right? But the phone rang repeatedly, and Kanan did not pick up. What's going on? Hitomi's face went pale. Come on, Kanan. Kano, standing near enough to overhear their conversation, grew increasingly anxious as he watched the pair stare at the phone. What was the right move here? Should he keep waiting? He had to hope talking to Kanan would work out. Kano waited for the call to go through. At this point, they couldn't count on Kanan anymore. Kano rushed into action. Let's wait. Although I think that jumping to Stanley will change Kanan's fate. I think he's going after her or something. Maybe Kanan killed Stanley's brother, and that's why he has a hatred for him. But Kanan never answered. Had something happened to her and Teno? Kano felt his heart pounding. Now then, shall I take what I came here for? Palmer took a step closer to Hitomi. Kano reacted instinctively. Freeze! He drew his gun and trained it on the criminal. Nearby pedestrians scattered in fear. Seizing the moment, a cheat darted in to protect Hitomi. Palmer let out a tiny sigh. So you're breaking the terms we agreed upon then. I don't negotiate with terrorists. Kano inched his way closer, his point of aim never wavering. Hitomi, he shouted. Call Kanan again. Again, Hitomi dialed her cell phone. Palmer opened the attached case he was carrying. One more move and I shoot, Kano shouted. It's a bomb, right? But the terrorist ignored the warning, producing a set of small glass vessels from within the case. If you want to shoot me, then shoot me, he said. Assuming you don't mind this getting scattered about. Is that? Surely you don't need me to explain? Stanley was right. Alfred had weaponized the virus. Doing his best to conceal his horror, Kano tried to sound defiant. How can I even know that's real? You can't let that loose here. It was entirely possible this was all a bluff. Ah, indeed, these could all be fake. Would you care to test that theory? Palmer flashed a coy smile, holding out his fistful of vials. He began to tilt them slowly back and forth, letting them clink against each other. They were fake. No, maybe they were real. Kano couldn't quite decide. And he couldn't take any rash action if there was even a possibility these were the real thing. Did you come here to carry out a suicide attack, Mr. Alphard? Hardly. I have no desire to die here. All I want is to get a little of this girl's blood, and then go quietly on my own way. But that all depends on you, doesn't it? His face was overflowing with confidence. Kano couldn't shake the feeling that something was off here. Something about this man's demeanor hinted at something. He's sure that he won't get shot. Maybe he has dudes around him. Well then, what will it be? Palmer continued. Will you condemn the people of Shibuya to death? Cursing inwardly, Kano lowered his gun. Palmer flashed a triumphant grin, then resumed his stroll towards Hitomi. She stood frozen on the spot. What now? Susumu! The shout had come from Achi. In an instant, a dozen members of SOS headed towards Palmer from all sides. Tough luck, pal, Susumu said. Turns out we're not actually innocent bystanders. Now it was his turn to grin. You're completely surrounded. Give up and tell us the password now. And just for the record, we ain't scared of no virus. The tough-looking young man radiated bravado. Without hesitation, they closed in around the kidnapper. Surrounded? You certainly don't look like police. Palmer cast a bemused glance around himself. You're right about that, she said. I mean, just take a look. I gathered up a bunch of people who love Shibuya more than their own lives in order to take your ass down. He kept Hitomi shielded behind him while he spoke. There's no escape, he declared. You've lost. Lost? Me? Well, it sure doesn't look like you're gonna get away. Palmer grimaced at Achi's words. I see. Then it appears our negotiations are to close. Enough of the high and mighty act. Susumu stomped aggressively towards Palmer. Hey, Kano snapped. Easy now. They couldn't risk a scuffle sending the virus crashing to the ground. What a shame. Palmer swung his right arm up high. Oh fuck, that's a lot of vials! He should have just crashed it on the ground though, that would have been faster. Everyone watched in dismay as his hands shot up. The vials he'd been holding sailed upward against the backdrop of the evening sky. Look out! Achi shouted. Catch him! Catch him! Oh god, not another bomb, please. Fuck! No! A tremendous blast blew Kano off of his feet. As he crashed to the pavement, searing pain shot through his entire body. He knew at once that a bomb had gone off. But why? It didn't make any sense. Alphard had no intention of carrying out a suicidal terror attack. Kano was certain of that. If that had been his intent, he could have just done so at any time without going through the trouble of putting on this whole charade. Was there some reason that this guy would blow himself up under these circumstances at this specific moment? As he lay dying, Kano had a thought. Could it be? Had Stanley not come to the scramble because he knew this was going to happen? Big think, right? One of the last few bad ends, I guess. A mysterious explosion. We don't even get a fucking hint this time because the game thinks that we're smart enough to solve that by ourselves. I guess we are.